I just presented inside of my private community a brand new feature that allows us to spot ad iteration opportunities with AI and even suggest some of the ad iterations that we can do, again, utilizing AI for both static and video ads on both Facebook and TikTok. So with that being said, what you're about to watch right now is a recording of said masterclass that I presented inside of my community. Now, with that being said, if you don't yet know who I am and you're new to the channel, my name is Justin Lalonde. I'm the founder at paidadvertising.com, where we help implement scalable ad engine inside of businesses and or grow e-com and info businesses to multi-seven figures with paid ads. With that being said, last year we profitably spent and advised on well over $15 million in paid ad spend. And so let's get straight into the recording.
We're finding each other on one of those monthly masterclass calls. Now, this call is going to be recorded as usual, uploaded on School, and it will also definitely be turned into a YouTube video in the next few weeks because this is a very, very new subject and feature. You guys may or may not know, but my team and I has been collaborating with Atria, more specifically Ray, the founder at Atria. Julie, which you guys know because she's hosting our Tuesday calls. She's been giving her feedback and advice internally on some of the features that Atria was developing or testing. And they finally released as a beta one of those new features called Radar, which honestly, I think this just lowered the bar as to how easy it now is to spot iterations when it comes to running ads and perhaps also on how to analyze ad creative performance. So everything that I've taught you guys through both what you would find on School, but also what we typically speak about on a day-to-day basis over Slack, from marketing fundamentals, research, and so on and so forth, it still applies. Now, what really is neat is the iterative process in the creative analysis process. It's like once you've launched a creative, getting data back from Atria is now as easy as it's ever been. And that's really what I want to focus on in today's masterclass. And so if this is your first time, I think the shout's your first masterclass, the thing that you're attending. These calls specifically, less of a Q&A, more of a presentation, typically towards the end. Well, I honestly don't think it's going to take me more than 20 minutes to get through everything, maybe even 15. After that, we'll move to a Q&A based on the subject specifically that I presented. And if there's still time after, we'll go through a general Q&A, but it will usually start with a presentation. Okay. So I'll be sharing screen and I'll make sure that I'm also sharing audio right here. So give me a quick sec. I'm going to go a portion of the screen. So now on Atria, and you don't see that because it's on the left hand bar. I got so many client names that I can't exactly all show them on screen. But pretty simple, you have two sides to Atria now. You have your boards, which is like inspiration on Atria, and you have analytics essentially on there. And so this is part of the analytics tab as to when you connect one of your ad accounts essentially to Atria specifically. Stop myself very quick. Be a Wolf, saw you join. So I'm just going to make a quick pause because I know it's your first call. You happen to join one of our monthly masterclass. So it's less of a Q&A, more of a presentation. I talk about a subject every month. This is one of those. And essentially, I'll typically do a quick Q&A after on the subject, and then we'll go general Q&A if there's time.
Awesome, man. Sounds good.
Cool. Perfect. And so kind of getting back to the Radar feature that we've been developing, or at least giving comments with the team at Atria. They did an amazing job with that said feature. So what happens is you open up the ad account that you've connected to Atria. You now go to Radar at the top instead of Overview. And again, this has been out for just a couple of days at the time of us shooting this masterclass live. Top right, you decide what attribution window you want to look into. You can essentially set different settings in your Radar. So as an example here, what I decided to do is I only want Radar to show me any ad that has had a ROAS of higher than 2.5. You could do, again, a CPA target or a ROAS target for now. I know they should be working on coming out essentially with other metrics that you can deem as like the success metric, like all of y'all local businesses or info product businesses with cost per lead as an example. Cost per lead is something you can analyze in the overview tab. So if I go back to this here, I could change my metric and go cost per lead. And this is a metric I can see here on Atria, but not yet on here, this Radar tab. So again, just kind of letting y'all know. So that said, I could show the ad status. So in other words, what ends up happening is when I open this up, I got three tabs in front of me. Winners, high iteration potential, iteration candidates, and all. All is every single ad that is currently live on the account. And what Atria does is it gives an overall grade as per every soft and hard metric on the ad and an overall ad grade, which basically takes into consideration all of the grading essentially of said ad. So when you look into an ad, I'll take the example here of DCT35. It's going to give us a CTR grade, our retention grade. So in other words, this is pretty self-explanatory. This is a click-through rate grading. So how good is that said click-through rate? Retention grading right here. This is basically the hold rate. So how far people hold through the video. Hook rating. So hook rate. So how many people are at the first 3 seconds of the video. And then a ROAS grade. So how positive or negative is the ROAS. So in an ad like this, where you see that first 3 grades are A's, but the last one is D. What does that mean? It typically means that conversion rate on this ad is low. It's because if an ad has a high click-through rate, a good retention rate, and a good hook rate, it means it's driving traffic to the store, right? Or traffic to the landing page. And if ROAS grade is low, then in other words, this would mean that conversion rate definitely is not up to standard. And so for some reason, this ad is driving engagement, but it's not driving conversions. So again, that's why it says here, iterate. This is an iteration candidate. Now, it's where it gets very interesting. You can click on this button called AI recommendation. And what it'll do, it'll take a few minutes or seconds, essentially, to load up the recommendations. Just to save you the time, sometimes it takes about 2 to 5 minutes. I'll pick one of those winners here, which I already essentially ran the AI recommendation earlier. And so you can see it essentially like it was loaded a few minutes ago on my side. So when you open up an ad and you click on view details, well, first of all, you can look into drop-off rate or retention rate on the ad. So in other words, you can kind of see where are people dropping off. This is not something you natively see on Facebook. So it's super useful to see like a graph of where are people sticking through in the said creative. How did they get this data? It's pretty simple. They look into the video duration, like 30 seconds, and they'll go 25-second video view, 25% video view, 50%, 75%, and then 100% video view, and they show you a drop-off throughout those. So you obviously also see all the metrics of the ad, so performance metrics, clicks metrics, engagement, and conversion on the actual website. That's also very interesting. It tells you natively, hey, 85% of the clicks ended up on the actual website. 17% of the clicks added to cart. 9% of the total clicks ended up purchasing, and 56% of add to carts ended up purchasing, which again, pretty useful info. But I mainly want to focus on AI recommendations. Look at this. First of all, just look at the tabs: performance, persona, issues, recommendation. If that's not some of the words that you guys have been used to using based on the research center and things that I recommended, then I don't know what this is. Like, this is, again, some of the exact features that we've been using on the back end that now Atria can help you analyze automatically. So when you look into that right here, persona, this ad is designed for self-care enthusiasts and beauty and wellness explorers. So we'll play the ad. I'll just hit play here and let me know if you hear it, okay? For those of you who might know this guy, this is like a sexual brand of ours. So again, it might be a bit of a wild ad, but let me know if you hear the start of it.
My date night.
Whoops.
A kitty prep that hasn't taken me out.
You hear that? You? Okay. Let me start again.
My date night kitty prep that hasn't taken me out every week. This is the Make Him Swim combo by Katora. Start by cleansing odors with the Drippa Gel. The sweet, delicate smell will last all day and leave you feeling fresh. Then apply the Restora oil so your kitty is soft and tastes and smells like fruits. He's gonna be all up in there. Before the big show, pop in a Yoni Pop for hours of waterfall. And finally, apply a little bit of the Climaxy Gel so you can climax before him for one. This kit is the best thing I could have bought for my bedroom for real.
Yep. Who's this ad designed for? Self-care enthusiasts. This is pretty funny because our main persona, like if I showed you my research center right now, our main persona for which we made this ad for is with the self-care angle. This is a client that we went wild at times for sex-specific angles, talking about like enhancing sexual performances. This ad, we're in this, how can you say it? We're currently in the transition of this account and trying to get them away from too much sex and going more towards actual like self-care because it's more scalable. Like the masses actually prefer self-care versus sex. Sex really sells with a smaller audience. But when you start and you want to go with the average woman, I don't know about y'all, but this is advertised late 20s woman, and then mid 30s and even 40s. This could be someone's mom here. Would your mom actually respond to a sex ad like this? Probably not. It's too direct, which is why like typically our sex ads are more for a younger demographic. I'm diverting here. This ad is designed for self-care enthusiasts, which is exactly the persona for which we had this in mind. So let's start reading. Top issues identified. High CPA. So CPA is pretty high. Okay. Low ROAS. Well, of course, it makes sense. If this goes in hand with high CPA. Potentially misleading claim. The ad uses terms like kitty care routine, which might be confusing on some viewers. It also uses subjective language and emojis, which might turn off some audiences. So it caught on to the sex-based emojis that we have in the ad. So, okay, which makes sense. Again, we know that we're doing that. Overly sensationalized. Man, I can't say this word in English. The ad uses I'm not even going to say it, language and dramatic statements like beg for more, your waterfall, which can undermine credibility and come across as unrealistic to some viewers. Lack of clear benefits. Okay. What are the actionables? Simplify the CTA. Instead of a long list of product names, use check the collection with the direct link. Use stronger CTAs. And it says metric impacted, right? Use stronger CTAs. Include experience the transformation. Use don't miss out on the software quick here. Showcase a unique selling proposition. Instead of just listing product names, highlight a unique feature like the only feminine care routine that balances pH naturally. Use audio cues. Add a gentle and calming background music. Include sound effects such as subtle chime when each product is introduced. So you can kind of see this is analyzing not just what is said, but also sound and emojis in the video. Their AI actually is able to see every element that you have in an ad. And they give you examples of everything that they recommend here. So as an example, they say here, like go with harder CTAs. Okay, so if I click on any of those, they're going to give me like an example of an ad on Atria that actually does that well. So stronger CTA. Okay, what's an example of a stronger CTA? This. Get it now / I'm on it. Okay, here's another one. Let me go here. Listen to your ass as an example. Or, this is another one that they feel has a stronger CTA. Does it mean this is all right? No. But it means that, again, this is simplifying and speeding up your ad iteration workflow. It tells you more specifically how and where you can iterate on an ad. And so when I come here, essentially, what I have is a high iteration potential. So going back to winners. These two ads, there are some things that you have to keep in mind. It's like here it says, what was it earlier? Was it this one that I checked? Anyways, let me go back to that. I'll go back to this because there was something I wanted to highlight. But these here, high iteration potential are ads that it says it doesn't have that bad of a ROAS, but it's also below our average KPI in the account. And so therefore it highlights ads that are typically getting decent amount of ad spend and are close to our account's ROAS KPI. And so therefore it says, hey, I'm going to flag this to you so that you can actually iterate based on that. You can see that 3 of these ads we turned off, 2 of those are actually still active as of right now. Same thing. I can click on this, go to AI recommendations. I could generate on here and it would give me essentially once again, a generation of what it thinks I can iterate based on this ad. And iteration candidates, I'm not entirely sure, not going to lie, like how they pull those. Okay, display signs of iteration potential, but with lower ad spend in the third quartile. It's too early to confirm, so the urgency to fix is generally medium. Okay, it makes sense. So in other words, it's iterations that you can do with lower spend. The ones that we've been playing with for the most part internally are these two. This for winners to really understand why something is a winner. So to go here, open, and again, just understanding essentially like what Atria thinks of said ad. And these are typically actually very accurate. Like I haven't seen Atria give me an ad here that wasn't an ad that we would have iterated on. Because that's one of the things I hear a lot of people with an ad engine asking us is, when should we iterate on an ad? If the ad flops from the get-go, should we iterate on it or not? What I typically tell people is the ads for which you want to iterate is either 1, a winner, because you want to make more out of said ad. 2, it's going to be an ad that is getting decent spend, is close to KPI, which is about 2, which we would want to get for this account. So close to KPI, but it's like missing something. There's like, for whatever reason, as an example, these ads, 1.98, 1.78, 1.73, 1.83, we want to get above 2 on this account. So it's like, these ads are pretty close. We're talking like a max, like a 20% improvement we need on these creatives, which is where an iteration could come out and actually make those ads become profitable ads. So I'm showing you that, and honestly, I'm super excited about what this means just for speeding up our workflow's sake. I I use sensational words sometimes on YouTube when I say claims like media bars are disappearing, or there's creative strategists are also going to go under if they don't adapt and do X. Look, nobody's going nowhere, but you are like, this will increase from an agency standpoint. This will increase your capacity to get clients because it becomes faster for you to be able to analyze said ads. And anybody essentially who, as an example, Be a Wolf here as a brand owner, this simply allows you as the strategist behind your ads to analyze and spot patterns faster. So I feel like this not only elevates conversation internally, but reduces let me go into the ads manager, let me set up my columns, let me analyze, see like, okay, based on this click-through rate, like I think this ad should iterate. This is like, it gamifies the iteration process. You have a grade for everything. And so at a glance, we've all went to school here. All of us, when you see an A, a B plus, a C, all of that, it's like, it's a very easy cue, and you can filter by grading too. It's a very easy cue for you to know, like, perfect, this is an iteration. And in fact, you don't even have to do anything besides going to high iteration potential. You can change the parameters on your side by which something is deemed to fit as an iteration. But anyways, all of that to say, we're starting to implement a lot more of, all of our accounts now, we're having them uploaded to Atria under their analytics tab, and we're starting to use Radar as a feature with it because this speeds up a lot our iteration process. And I'm biased, and full disclosure, I know I'm biased, and I want to say it because I've partnered with Atria for months now where I am getting a kickback of people we send their way. So I do want to be upfront with that, but at the same time, I was using them before that point. And the app I was using to do this beforehand was called Motion app, which I know you're not seeing the entire screen right now. I'm going to make that bigger. Maybe some of you have already used Motion. Motion is great. Motion does all of this except the Radar feature Atria has that Motion doesn't, is the pricing side of things. Like Motion in itself starts at about, like when we had it, I think we had 6 or 8 ad accounts on it, and we were paying about $1,250 a month, give or take. Whereas with Atria, we're paying something like $250 a month for having all of these same features for unlimited amount of ad accounts on our side, and all those AI Radar features. So that being said, kind of concludes essentially this update, which seriously, this is like 3 days old as an update on Atria, and I'm pumped about seeing more AI into our workflow. So last thing I'll show, I'll go back to Atria one last time. Oh, something like this here, where if you go to the alt tab, you'll see every single creative live on a said ad account. I mean, you'll see, many pages. I could also just increase the amount per pages and just have all of my creatives there. You can filter by recommendation, and so therefore it becomes easy for you to. Another example of that, nowadays at the agency, I've combined creative strategist and media buyer together into one role. I call them a performance manager because I feel like the media buying side of things doesn't have as much of importance as before. Well, for anybody who still has media buyers and creative strategists separate, one problem that I personally had and faced in the past was the communication between these two roles. How does the media buyer communicate effectively to creative strategist who doesn't understand data, why a creative is working and which creatives to iterate on? Now this like bridges a gap in that communication barrier of just, hey, if you're a creative strategist, my SOP to you as a strategist is, here's according to what is on school, as an example, like what we have here that you guys have all gotten access to. Here's how you do research. Here's how you script new concepts. Here's how you build your brand new ad concepts. And when you're ready to iterate, just open up Atria, go to Radar, go to all, spot iterations, and iterate on those ads. I need you to make, as an example, 5 to 10 iterations a week, 5 new concepts a week per account. Here's where you find your iterations, and you do your new concepts based on our research center. That way, the process just becomes a lot more dialed in for said team member. So that's that. And same thing for kind of a media buyer. Well, here you have it. It shows scale essentially. So any ad that has like either like a B plus or like an A, and is currently getting a lot of ad spend, it'll typically say like scale. So then same thing for the media bar, which brings me to my final point here. I think that's why I combined my roles together. I could see things like that soon becoming available. I didn't expect this to be available this early, honestly, in the space, but I think this is a huge thing for 2025. Do you really need someone who's like crazy competent with data on the media buying side if you have that? Not really. Like they come here, it tells them it's like scale. And by every single metric, I too, none of these I would say, well, I probably would hold off on scaling. We're getting decent ad spend level at a decent ROAS. Click rate usually is good. Hook rate is good. ROAS is positive. What else do you want? I'll wrap things up here to finish that same point. It's the research center that you guys all know of that you have essentially in school. This is a slightly kind of new version of it, but it's pretty much the same thing. All I was going to go is you guys all know there's 4 outcomes to an ad. Poor spend, great CPA. Poor spend, poor CPA. Great spend, and poor CPA. A winning ad is great spend, great CPA. Well, if I go back to what I have on Atria right here, any of these, let me just change up here. Any of these ads is getting a decent, well, if you look into most of the creatives on the account, by pretty much every metric, these creatives are getting a good amount of ad spend and a good CPA. It's a winning ad. So in other words, like this is tailored to the exact strategy that we've been using internally already, which is why I'm excited about that. You know, it's one of the first times that we've been able to collaborate with a software company, create something that is actually useful for us as an agency. And like, I think they really nailed it. So that's it. Any questions on that? Simon?
That's insane, man.
Yeah. It's good. It's very interesting, I think, for us to start playing with something like that. I just feel like the playing field, well, it's funny because it's like, I feel it's becoming easier to run ads, but it's becoming, at the same time, like you're getting cornered into what is the highest leverage on the ad account. It's like media buying, I've been saying it for so long, like there's not a lot for you to do on the media buying side to focus on creative. Now it's like, well, your creative analysis is pretty much taken care of for you. You don't even have to think about iterations. Iterations are being brought on a silver platter. You just have to iterate now with that. And ideas, you don't really, like now it's even giving ideas for iterations. And so I think we're moving the bar up and higher as to like, where should you focus on the account, which just goes back to saying it's concepting of or conception of an ad creative. It's like research and scripting. It's pretty much what we're being cornered with.
I have a question, Justin. So I'm curious, I might have missed this too when you were presenting, but is it really just 3 recommendations? It's iterate, scale, or I'm guessing the third one is just to kill?
That's like their overall, well, I'll share screen again. This is like their overall recommendation with it, but any of these ads you can click, like let's say any iterate ad, you can click AI recommendations. I'll open up one of the ads that I already clicked on AI recommendation. And when you do, it's going to tell you like where to optimize this ad. It's going to tell you, well, it has a poor hook rate. So here's what we recommend you do in the hook instead of the hook that you have now. Then it says so on and so forth. So it does give you recommendations as to what to iterate on.
Okay. Now, what is it able, like, have you noticed it's able to pick up on, the copy in terms of in the recommendation, it's saying iterate this ad in a specific way, which will change the awareness level? I'm curious because like a lot of my ads like are speaking to a very high awareness level, and I always want it to be like, obviously you can't test a million different things all the time, but I'm always thinking about bringing the copy down in a manner that then speaks to a lower awareness, like a more broad awareness.
Good question. What I'll say is it currently does not take into consideration copy. It purely looks into creative. It looks into both statics and video ads, and it can break down both a static and a video ad. But it's a good one. No, they're not taking into consideration copy.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, it looks like is it? How much? What is the pricing on it?
Well, the plan that we're on as an agency, I think, is like $250 a month. But I think as a sole business, I'll tell you right now, it's something like, I think it's like $100 a month.
Okay.
Yeah, it's $139 a month.
Okay. Yeah, I'm saying, does it cap you, or is it just the same pricing no matter how many ads you have in there?
They cap you on $500K a month in ad spend.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. No,
So
that's
for us
awesome,
as
man.
an agency, like it's going to look into all the accounts we have. We're on the second plan now. I think it's $4.99. It didn't used to be $4.99, but that being said, a $4.99 plan is 25 ad accounts and 3 million a month in ad spend. So, which was still like half of what, at least half of what Motion App was. The other thing, I mean, I haven't showed it also here, but we've got some like presets for analysis and columns where like you can do like meta ecom. There's also meta stats here, so like free trials and so on and so forth. And so it shows you every metric of a funnel that you would care about if you were in ecom. So click to add to cart to purchase, and so on and so forth. So you can make your own columns. So there's your own preset, but there's that they've released so far for this feature, which they still say is a beta feature, is meta ecom, meta SaaS, meta engagement. And it says meta because Atria also does TikTok with it. So this should be working for TikTok also.
And I'm guessing well, it wouldn't really apply to Google, I suppose, right?
Correct. No, it could apply to YouTube, honestly, with it, but I don't know. We don't run a lot of YouTube ads. From time to time, we do. And I'd say it hasn't been communicated to us by Ray or HS team that this will be live on YouTube anytime soon.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Awesome. And it's just like a slot, like I search Atria and I'd be able to easily integrate it into Meta.
Yeah, exactly. You'd be able to, it's like when you open a software, there's like an analytics tab, you click plus, it said add a meta ad account. I just can't show it on screen because I got like so many ad accounts in there, but you click add meta ad account and then it would ask you to log in with Facebook and you just select the ad account that you would want to connect to it. And that's it.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. Well, it looks like a pretty sick tool.
Yeah, man. It literally just came out, this feature. So that's why essentially I wanted to direct this to that. We just made our SOP internally when it came out. I saw it last week. Julie internally made an SOP on Monday. And so that's why I'm coming out with it like right now. It says,
I'm curious, are you guys like replacing, like this kind of your go-to in terms of creative analysis? Are you still going into like Ads Manager or your Google Sheets? Because I have a Google Sheet that kind of has a very similar layout.
I'll tell you that this week we've been playing with it a lot and we've been taking cues from it, but this is like 5 days old. So I can't say now, like it has replaced everything internally because it'd be unwise for us to make an entire switch immediately. But let me just say it's promising for like, if it's as good as it's been so far, and I'm thinking, hell, it can, it's the thing with SaaS. Cause I'm like, sometimes when you release AI features, like OpenAI, when they came out with GPT, if you notice now, GPT-4 is way dumber than it was a year ago. And why is that? Because as a business, they're incentivized to, to find that like threshold of like, how cost efficient can I be and still deliver value to the client? And so they have to cut costs to the model's usage. So I'm like always a bit wary when someone releases an AI feature. The server cost and the GPU cost of running stuff like that is usually very expensive. So I'm like, are they going to be able to maintain it at this cost, or will they either jack up costs of software, or number two, are they going to make this dumber? I don't know. For now, if I go and I play kind of, I don't know what the opposite of devil's advocate is, but if I play angel's advocate, let's call it that. And I say, this is V1, so it can only get better from here. Honestly, I think we have a very bright future with this feature this year, because in itself, like this, if nothing changes, this could replace like the way that we've been doing creative analysis so far.
Definitely could. Yeah, that's interesting. It also makes me wonder, how is Meta going? Because I'm sure there's going to be more tools like this coming out. So how is Meta going to respond to that internally? And how are they going to implement AI into Ads Manager, essentially?
Well, I think you bring up an interesting point, because I think Meta is also kind of torn between a lot of different things happening. Because on the one side, with HIPAA compliance and all of this, as we spoke the other day, they came out with all these health restrictions. But then yesterday or 2 days ago, Zuckerberg came out with this saying like, hey, we're going to reduce the amount of policies that we have. We're going to become more lenient. And it's like, now there's this huge announcement of them actually removing a lot of the restrictions they have, which is where are they leaning? I don't know, to be honest. This is
interesting.
Yeah, it's an interesting time.
It is for sure.
So
yeah. I was a little surprised. I saw Zuck kind of trending in that direction, but I was kind of surprised at just kind of he just didn't hold back with the announcement. Like I think he probably upset some people, to be honest.
Well, I feel like it's and now I'm going off of ads. I'm going more into politics and like macro trend. U.S. is now Republican. Canada is leaning towards becoming conservative again. A lot of the Western countries are becoming, right wing again. And I think there's just this overall movement of freedom of speech and anti-wokeism kind of happening. And so platforms have to bend. Zuck finally did, but people call him based Zuck, which is like, since he came out a year ago with like the baggy t-shirts, the chains. I don't know, but like Subtle Flex is an example. If you know watches, the watch he was wearing in that specific video was like an $800,000 watch. So just to say, like, the guy's like making a new persona and kind of coming out online, trying to be, cool and trendy and like and more right wing. Not gonna lie. So
Yeah.
I do think that for businesses and for like making money, I like to see the direction in which like the West is going right now. So I think we need to keep going in that direction, and we'll have more and more opportunities as a business to make money because people are realizing there's too many restrictions from laws to also on-platform policies. Now they're starting to loosen up a bit. So
I 100% agree. I think you got to give some credit to Elon too with X. Always. I think you kind of spurred this whole kind of transition. But I want to ask too, and then I'll let other people ask questions. I want to ask you about, so Radar is the specific feature within Atria, which you just showed. What is Atria obviously I'm new to, the group. Is Atria like to begin with?
Foreplay.co?
Yeah, I haven't used it, but I've seen it.
Yeah, it's exactly that. So you have like you can save ads. It's like an ad library tool and so on and so forth. So they have that. They also have like a few more features. It's like I always say, Foreplay and Motion app that I showed earlier. Also, Foreplay and Motion had a kid, like Atria, essentially with it. So it's a mix of both. Yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, I appreciate it.
I recommend it. Beowulf, I think you got access to school also. If you want to follow along on some of the previous Atria stuff I spoke about last month. Where is this masterclass? Check this one out. At some point, I just realized 2 masterclasses in a row, same hoodie. But I talk about like processing reviews, I believe, at mass with Atria, which is also another thing that you can do with Atria, where you can upload hundreds, if not thousands, of reviews to it, and it can actually spot patterns and give you like, hey, here are like creative ad angles from all of these reviews. Here are desires and possible personas based on these reviews, and so on and so forth. So,
what about going along that? What about comment sections? Because, for example, like I have a comment. One of my ads, it's not even really making me that much money, but I haven't turned it off because it has like 800 plus comments and they're super, super valuable. Is it able to like pinpoint, like if I were to show it that one ad, could it replicate the same process with comments?
You would have to export them to a spreadsheet. So the way in which this tool works is they have like a spreadsheet template. You have to format, would it be reviews or comments according to you? They're formatting it. Yes. Short answer is yes, they'd be able to do it, but not automatically. So what I was showing in that masterclass last month was there's a extension that you can use on Chrome, which you can download at mass reviews from like an Amazon product listing. So you can look at competitor products, download a fuck ton of reviews, and upload. It's already in a CSV format from this tool, and you can just drag and drop that into Atria and have it processed through all of this. So it's also a way to like do market research at scale rapidly because of AI.
That's amazing. It's huge.
Yeah. So they'll save up some.
It was, can you just quickly go back to the masterclass so I can jot it down? Yes, sir.
There, I'm gonna link it to you in the chat even.
Oh, fantastic.
Be a bit better for you to go there. Check it out.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much.
Cool. My pleasure. I'll go back, Alex. I know you joined us, I think, pretty much towards the end of the masterclass portion of things. But Vishal, Simon, Alex, any questions in that specific regards? And if not, we'll move on to general questions.
So I have a question, and like how you guys are running ads for e-commerce, of course. So yeah, you use pixel IDs on the website, like everything, so that it will say like it will give reports on CPI on everything.
Yeah.
How this gonna will be applicable on a local business
Yep.
operation? Like you just collect leads.
Exactly. Well, for now, specifically the radar tool, as mentioned earlier, it's just CPA with it. But I know they're talking very soon. They should have the same thing with like local business metrics in mind, such as cost per lead. So it's not just local business, but like info product or coaching businesses. It's going to be the same thing. Like they need cost per lead to be one of those metrics for radar to give context around. So I would say, I don't know, I can't give you a timeline, but I know we'll come out with it. Just right now, this in its current form is not applicable to local business.
Yeah. So and also, if I say like if I'm buying this today, can this pull up the old reports or like the reports of an old ad like running for more than 3 months? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to look into the entire account's history. So it could be an ad that is inactive and turned off that was live on the account months, if not years ago, and it'll still see it.
Yeah, that's good.
Yep. So it's not just
Like
you had.
my question was actually because we are running on local businesses, right? So how Atria is gonna be on like helping local business?
Yeah. I'm guessing. I mean, some of its stuff is not going to change in a sense. Like instead of ROAS grading, it's probably going to call it like a CPL grading. Click-through rate, retention, and hook rate grading is going to be the same thing because the metrics, the KPIs are pretty much the same for local or info business. It's more so. Earlier I showed like the add to cart ratio, purchase ratio. This will change. I hope to see them come out with like opt-in percentage and like with the grading for that also to see is my opt-in rate like in KPI, so on and so forth.
Thank you so much for watching this video. With that being said, if you're an e-commerce info product businesses wanting to scale to multi-7 figures with paid ads, check the first link in the description down below to book in a call with myself and the team at paidadvertising.com to help you run your Meta, Google, or TikTok ads. And that's it. If you want to work one-on-one with me and want to join our Ad Engine one-on-one consulting program, in which this was one of those recordings as an example that you saw today, then check out a second link in the description down below to join Ad Engine. So on that note, I'm going to wish you an amazing day. Check out other videos of the channel for some more useful marketing tips, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.